I'm going to be talking about the surface area today. And the surface area is the total number of squares that cover a shape. And so it's really actually important to be able to know how to find the surface area because you use it every day for simple little things like finding how much paint you need to cover a house, or how much carpet you need to cover the floor of a room, or even something incredibly simple like how much wrapping paper you're going to need to cover a present. So what I'm going to do is talk about the surface area of a cube and of a rectangular prism. And we're eventually going to find how to calculate the surface area of a cube and a rectangular prism. So what I want you to do with your piece of graph paper that I've handed out is draw the 3D version of this cube and then label it. And the cube is a 2 by 2 cube, inches, 2 by 2, all over. And it'll look something like this when it's completed. 2 by 2 by 2 inches all over. And then your rectangular prism, I want you to draw on your graph paper the 3D version of this. And it's a 3 by 2 by 1 inch. 3 inches by 2 inches by 1 inches. And the 3D version with labels looks like this. Got our 3, got our 2 inches, got our 1 inches. So, once you've done that, we're going to put that aside. And then we're going to draw the nets of both of these shapes, the net of a cube, the net of a rectangular prism. And the net is what the shape looks like after it's unfolded. So the net of a cube looks like this. And I've gone ahead and labeled it. Pretty simple because all of the dimensions are the same in a cube. And again, it's still in inches. And the net of a rectangular prism looks like this. And we've got the 3 inches by 2 inches, and over here by 2 inches by 1 inch. So it looks a little confusing probably. So this side right here is 3, just like this length right here. This length is 2 because this length right here is 2. I'm going to turn it. This length over here is this length, the 1 inch. And then this is 2 inches because this right here, this length, is also 2. And so I just did the units on this other side too. The dimensions. Alright, now we're going to find the surface area of these shapes. So we'll start with the cube. Surface area of a cube, pretty simple. All you need to do is find the area of one of the faces and then add up the areas of the other faces. What's simple about this is since a cube has the same dimensions, once you find the area of one face, all the other faces are the same. So we're just going to find the area of this face and then times it by 6 because there's 6 faces. So 2 times 2 is 4, and then we have 6 faces, so 4 times 6 is 24. And it's going to be 24 inches squared. We use squared because we are finding how many of these little squares it takes to cover this entire shape. So 24 inches squared is the answer. Then we're moving on to the rectangular prism. The rectangular prism is not as simple, but it's still pretty easy. So we've got to find the area of all these different faces. So it's basically 3 different faces, and then we're timesing them by 2 because there's 2 of each of these faces, and then you add it together, and that's a surface area. So to find the surface area of this first rectangle, it's just 3 times 2. Just like up here. 3 times 2 is 6. And then you have one of these big squares, or rectangles, in the back. So you times it by 2. So I'm going to write that down so we've got it. So we've got 3 times 2 inches, which equals 6 inches, times 2, because we have 2 of those rectangles, which equals 12 inches. And then, if you want to find the area of this face, it's 1 inch by 2 inches. 1 inch by 2 inches. And then once again, you have 2 of those. So 2 times 1 is 2, times 2 is 4. So the area of both of those is 4 inches. 2 times 1 equals 2, times 2 equals 4 inches. And then if you want to find the surface area of this face and the bottom face, we're going to do 3 times 1 times 2 for both of them. So 3 times 1 is 3, times 2 equals 6 inches. And then what we want to do, since we've got all of our areas, you add them all together. So 12 plus 4 plus 6 equals 22 inches squared. And that's how you find the surface area of both of those. Now, we're going to do the surface area of the nets, because sometimes you're not always going to get a 3D model of this to hold. You're not always going to get the 3D picture of this. You sometimes may be given a net and then be asked to find the surface area, and so you want to be able to do that. So, it's important to have it labeled correctly as well, but we've already gone through that. So we have, again, 2 by 2. So we know the area of this is 4, and then this is nice to see because you go, oh, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 faces. So we just do 4 times 6, which equals 24 inches squared. This one's really nice and easy to see. That's what's the nice thing about nets, is that once you unfold the shape, sometimes it's a lot clearer how many faces there are and stuff like that. Especially if you don't get the 3D version, it can be difficult just based on the picture to see how many faces there are. Then, surface area of the rectangular prism. So, we've got the 3 by 2 inch rectangle, and then, oh, we've got 2 of those. So, we're going to go 3 times 2, which is 6, times the 2 faces, which equals 12 inches. Then, let's find the area of these 2. So we've got 3, if this is 3 inches, this is also 3 inches, by 1 inch, because this is over here's 1 inch. So 3 by 1, and we've got, boom, 2 of those. 3 times 1 equals 3, times 2, because we have 2 of those, equals 6 inches. And then if you want to find this guy on the end, it is 2 by 1, and oh, look, you have 2 of those. So let's write that down. 2 times 1 equals 2 times 2, because you have 2 of them, equals 4 inches. And then when you add 12 inches plus 6 inches plus 4 inches, you get 22 inches squared. And that's how you find the surface area. I personally think it's easier to find the surface area when you have a net, but like I said, you don't always get that, and you may not have the time to draw out the net. So it's important to be able to find the surface area of both. Now, these are some follow-up questions I would have for my class. Do you see another way of finding the surface area without adding up the sums of the areas, which I kind of already went through, and then what is your own definition of the surface area? Then I'd bring the class together and they could share their observations and give their own real-world examples of surface area. And some observations could be that the net of a rectangular prism and a cube, or that the net of a rectangular prism forms multiple rectangles and the net of a cube forms multiple squares. Thank you.